Okay, so since we got a party podcast going, I think it would probably be best if we all introduced ourselves, because admittedly, this is the most people I've had on a podcast. So let's go ahead and start with you, Courtney. Who are you and that whole thing?
I'm Courtney Van Dunkler. I am a wife and mom of two boys. I am a DLD client with Coach Gianna, and brought my husband Kurt along for the ride.
I'm Kurt Van Dunkler. I'm a father of two boys, husband, and I joined DLD with Spencer as my coach.
Awesome. And then we also have two coaches, Gianna, Spencer. Gianna, you want to say what's up? Remind people from the last time you were on the show?
Yeah, technically my title's changed a bit since last time I was here, but hello, I'm Gianna. I am still a coach with DLDNation, but now I am, since my last episode here, lead registered dietitian now. So I'm still here hanging out as an R&D, and I get the pleasure of coaching Courtney and the pleasure of watching her rope her husband into this, and then her getting to work with Spencer. And so we get to just message each other all the time about how much we are obsessed with them together.
Gianna did not skip a beat on the whole podcasting of it all. You've a very good podcasting voice too, Gianna. So the next time you're on the show, you're going to be like, I'm the lead RD, and I also now host a podcast.
Yeah. Yes,
and then,
in a couple months.
And then rounding out the party pod, somebody who you guys probably don't know, Spencer Desiata. What's up, Spencer?
Thank you, Sean.
Who are you?
Yeah,
Can you
Coach
tell
Spencer
people
here? What's that?
Can you tell people who you are? I don't think people are familiar.
I can do my best. Coach Spencer. I feel like, and I'm hoping I start becoming one of those like resident guest hosts. Like I'm on just so much. I would love that honor. But yeah, I'm one of the lead programmers and coaches of DLDNation, and I have the pleasure of working with Kurt, which has been an awesome experience, but also getting to know Courtney along the ride too, which is really fun. And being able to tag team this with Gianna really has made this like a really, like, I'll say it, like an extra special coaching experience, kind of like a tandem coaching experience, which I really enjoy. And I think having a couple like yourselves be in the position you're in helps us as coaches be like, it's awesome when, you work as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. So yeah, I'm pumped to be on this podcast and talk a little bit more about this.
And we're going to get into all of the teamwork aspects. So if you're listening and you are on a fitness journey and you're trying to get your partner into it, we're going to dive into that. If you and your partner are both working towards fitness goals, we're going to get into what's helped Kurt and Courtney be so successful on theirs. And Spencer, yes, at some point we should totally have you be like the guy who's next to Conan O'Brien when he had his show.
Andy Richter,
yeah.
Is that
yes? Hey, great job, Spencer. Spencer gets an extra point for today.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be like, we always joke about Batman and Robin, and like I uphold that sidekick role so well, and I'll take it on with so much pride.
That's honestly what I tell Dayla, that she's LeBron, I will be D Wade. Like I will be happy to be D Wade. I will play that role to its best ability.
I'll be Bosch. I'm cool with that.
Okay, we're already off the rails. So bringing it back to why we're all here together on the party pod. Courtney, I'd like to kick things off with you. And what was the sort of genesis of your fitness journey and the impetus for you joining DLDNation?
All right. So I feel like I've been on a fitness journey forever and a day. But I always was thinking that my journey was going to come after I hit my weight loss goal. I was always striving to lose weight. So my journey has always been the latest diet, Weight Watchers, all the things. Like I'm 1 year post gastric sleeve surgery. So like I've done a lot of things in hopes to be healthy. And I always thought that losing weight was going to be my ticket to being healthy. So I was about 6 months post-op my surgery. I had lost a pretty good chunk of weight, and I had hit that dreaded stall. And I'm like, okay, now what? Well, I was scrolling Instagram, of course, and I actually came across Spencer on I think it was my For You page, his reels, and they were hilarious. And I kept telling Kurt, I'm like, this guy is so funny. And then of course, I stalked his page and then became obsessed with Maddie. Seriously, like Kurt
She's got a girl.
Oh my gosh, I love
Join
Maddie.
the club.
Like I always tell Kurt, I'm like, Spencer and Maddie are our best friends. They just don't know it. But
we know it now.
Right. So and then I started seeing like other, DLD coaches. I started following Gianna, and Dayla, and of course you, Sean, and like DLDNation on Instagram. And I was just like, wow, okay, how are these people eating food and getting the body that they really like? Because when I hit my stall, I called my doctors, well, my surgery center, and they, wanted to like lower the calories, or there was options of different medication I could try or different shots I could take. And I'm like, no, like, I really don't want to, I don't think being below 1,000 calories is really like going to do it for me, especially long term. I'm like, I'm 30, how old am I? 31? Yeah, 31, 32, am I 32?
Almost 32.
I don't know how old I am. I'm in my 30s, but I'm like, I can't imagine living my life as a 30-year-old woman eating less than 1,000 calories. Like that's going to wreak havoc on my body. So I remember messaging Spencer back and forth a little bit, and he's like, let me set you up on a call. Let me, do all these things. I'm like, no. I was really hesitant, but I just lurked in the shadows for a while. And then I think it was like, what was it? February, March of that year. So I went from like October to springtime. And then I finally pulled the trigger. I'd been messaging with Dayla quite a bit. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give the call a shot and just see, what my options were. And like, like I just had seen these people and these coaches and their clients, like they were just happy inside and out. And I'm like, this is what I want. This is the community I want. This is what I want to learn how to live my life like. And went on the call and signed up that night. So that was kind of where it all started.
I love it. And thank you so much for sharing that story and that path that you went on, because how many women have to go through that same journey? Like going back in my memory banks to when I had Gianna on the show for the first time, that was Gianna's story, eating like 1,000 calories, having doctors say like, hey, eat 1,000 calories, while also swimming and going to school and being a teenager. And so and I say this jokingly, but I'm so glad that you found Jesus, AKA actually eating, and knowing the impact that's going to make.
And that's the thing too. It's like this bariatric surgery was my last case scenario. Like, I feel like I tried everything. Like I was so desperate to lose weight. And I truly felt before DLD that weight loss was going to make me the healthiest me. And I mean, we'll get into that, I'm sure, later on, but like I found through this coaching experience that sometimes your smallest self is not your healthiest self, and weight loss isn't always the main goal. So,
well, the whole mindset that we were taught our whole lives, I mean, was completely flipped upside down when she started following you guys and learning more about the DLD program.
I know, I watched Maddie eat a Pop-Tart and then go lift. I'm like, I want to eat a Pop-Tart. I want a Pop-Tart. So it's like, it was just this whole new foreign territory for me. And I'm like, okay, I want in.
Yeah, it's funny. I always make this joke. Growing up in Los Angeles, there's a ton of people on the Ice Cube and Tic Tac diets, and we're not taught anything growing up, and we have to sort of learn this ourselves. And that's why Dayla and I started DLDNation, was because we were learning all of these things, sharing it, and realized how many people were not aware of, what you guys have come to know as the truth. And so I'm curious, Courtney, and then I want to kick it over to Gianna for a sec. What was something, Courtney, that was hard for you when you first started that's now super easy? You can do it in your sleep.
Okay, so I'm sure Gianna will remember this. I was so angry when I started and found out I had to start in a reverse. I obviously came to her thinking that she was going to instantly help me break out of that plateau. I still had a lot of weight I wanted to lose. And I was under the understanding I was hiring a coach to help me lose weight. That was my goal. And so when she came on and she's like, hey, I want you to listen to, these recordings of this reverse. This is, if you're not familiar with it, this is what it is, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, we're going to do this reverse process. And then I'm going to have you sit at maintenance for a while. And I was like, we're doing what? And
she got instant buyer's remorse. She's like, I think I got into the wrong thing. This is not what I expected. Like, I think I need to try and get my money back. Like she goes, this isn't for me. And I was just like, they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're trained, they're certified. Like, as like, just try, let's try it out. And I just kept trying to encourage her, just trust the process.
And I think the problem is like, I felt like I had tried everything. So when I was put in this position where she's like, okay, you're going to stay at the weight you are, potentially gain a little bit of weight on the scale, I was freaking out because I'm like, no. Like, that's not what I want to do. But like, little did I know that's what I needed to do. And now I've made it through the reverse process. I'm sitting at maintenance and my body's probably the happiest it's been in forever. So it doesn't mean that I can't do, the fat loss phase in time, but I didn't realize how much damage I had created internally for my body until I started working with Gianna. So the hardest part for me was like having to swallow that pill of really trusting her and trusting this process in, and her knowledge that like, this is what we needed to do to get me to my goals in time.
You bring up such a great topic. Gianna and Spencer know how often we talk about reversing because like you found out, Courtney, and I really appreciate you both, Kurt as well, trusting the process, buying in, seeing what we've been able to do. Your hesitancy with a reverse is shared amongst pretty much every client who starts with us who goes into a reverse. And so, Gianna, I think it might be helpful as one of our amazing registered dietitians in DLDNation. I would love for you to go into what a reverse is and why someone like Courtney would start in a reverse when they think they're joining this weight loss team.
Yeah. So I do remember that day, Courtney, I opened this long message on WhatsApp and I was like, oh no, I was like, I can't lose her. I was like, we can do this. And thankfully she stuck it out. But a reverse diet, for those that don't know what that is essentially small increases of food up to your estimated maintenance calories. So what your body actually needs to function optimally, not suboptimally, minimally, whatever you want to call it, but optimally. Like your hormones are happy, your thyroid is happy, your metabolism is happy, you are crushing your workouts, you're getting better quality sleep, your mood is better, because I don't care what people say, your mood is better when you're eating enough, because also then you're usually sleeping better, and they all go together like puzzle pieces. So that's what a reverse essentially is. It's to get you back up to that more optimal spot for your body after a period of dieting, whether it was intentionally dieting or maybe accidentally under eating for years, which we see a lot of the time. So for Courtney specifically coming in, when I had to be like, so here's reverse dieting and this is what we're going to do, it was based off the fact that she had bariatric surgery. And for those that don't know what bariatric surgery is, it is a surgical procedure that essentially, there's different forms and types, but just for a general overview, it essentially is a surgical procedure that does alter either like your stomach, some do part of like the small intestine, but it basically alters your digestive tract to basically allow for your body to only be able to eat a certain amount of food in a significantly smaller, I should say, for proper grammar, I think, significantly smaller amount of food at a time. So the idea is that people physically just can't eat what they were used to, which will then result in very low calorie eating, which will then result in weight loss. And it's usually pretty significant. However, where a lot of, in my professional opinion as an RD, where a lot of the drop off is there's not a lot of great continued care for people after their surgery. So I have had clients come to me, thankfully this was not Courtney's scenario and we caught it a lot faster, but I've had clients come to me 7 years post bariatric surgery that are still eating 800 to 1,000 calories a day. They haven't lost a single pound of weight in years and their hair is falling out and they're super vitamin and mineral deficient. Like their health is all over the board, like in not great ways. And so thankfully, Courtney got to me and I shook her up a little bit just before her like 1 year anniversary of her surgery. And we even worked through kind of what that 1 year post-op appointment was going to look like for her, because it can be really hard for people to go back into their doctor's office and be like, I'm eating more food. And the doctors, a lot of times, they give you 10, 15 minutes of their time and they're like, that's wrong. Go back to 800 calories. See you later. And that's like not good advice. And that's also the forever spiel of registered dietitians. Like, we study nutrition. We are here for that purpose. Doctors are fantastic at a lot of things that they do, but the one thing that they don't get extensive training on is nutrition. And that's why there's a whole specialty that exists for it. So since Courtney had bariatric surgery and she had been eating very low calorie for a long time, we then had to do a reverse diet. And she executed it beautifully. She was definitely hesitant. She was like, this lady is off her rocker, which, you know what? I might be a little crazy, but I do know what I'm talking about with nutrition. So that's a positive, and she was able to reverse, and she's eating easily over 1,000 calories from where she started, maintaining her weight beautifully. I mean, she can tell you how great she's doing, but I mean, she's crushing her workouts. She's being more present with her kids. She's being more present with herself, with her husband. Like, and that's been that's one of my favorite things to see, especially for people who had bariatric surgery. It is a last resort option for people. It's not just I decided today I'm going to have bariatric surgery. No, it's a long process to get there. And so for a lot of people, they don't know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel to where they can live a really good life, where they have energy and they are able to crush their workouts and they are able to be present with their pets or their kids or whatever it is. And it's been literally probably one of my favorite things in 2022 to see happen for her, because just like the life that has come into her that I've been able to see through just our check-ins and our voice memos, it's been so cool. Like when she was talking earlier, I'm over here like tearing up, like, don't cry on the podcast, but like I might.
Well, if you cry, I'll cry. So it's all right. At least two of us will.
We're going to snowball into all crying.
It's going to be a very emotional episode. Gianna, you really need to start your own podcast because you drop so much knowledge. I feel like I got a Matrix level download. I now know Kung Fu. So thank you so much for going in depth on that topic. I'd love to turn to Kurt for you for a second. And what were you thinking when Courtney signed up with DLDNation, and what eventually got you on board?
So when she came to me and told me about it, it's just like any other endeavor that she's tried to in the past. I've always been 100% on board, supportive. I've always told her, whatever you need to do, I'm here for you. In the past, if I necessarily wasn't on the journey, that did kind of make it hard, because when she would have her moments of weakness, I guess you could say, in those other programs with, you're not supposed to eat the pizza and you're not supposed to go out to eat, like all the elimination diets, where I should have been supported and say, no, let's stay home and make something. I was always, let's go get the pizza. Why not? Like, that sounds amazing. So yeah, when she came to me and told me about it, I was super supportive of it. And as I watched her start it, we went through a little breakdown about the reverse diet. And then she was just showing me different reels of Spencer and some of the other stuff going on with DLD. And it was one of Spencer's clients. He posted his progress pictures. Mm-hmm. And it said that he had lost, I think it was like 4 pounds.
No, I don't even know if he's lost any weight.
And it might have been no weight or very, very minimal weight, but there was a clear difference in his starting pictures to his current pictures.
He looked phenomenal.
And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And kind of a little back history. I injured myself at work years ago. I threw my back out. And I've always just kind of struggled with lower back pain. So then, I started thinking, well, maybe I need to start focusing on my health a little bit more. And I think Courtney told me it was another comment that Spencer had made, that he wants to be able to wipe his butt when he's 80 and doesn't want anybody else to have to do it. And I'm just like, well, I was 32 at the time, and I was like, there's mornings that I get out of bed and I feel like I'm 80, and I was like, I need to make a change. And then I think she said that you guys were throwing a spousal deal in there, and I was like, let's give it a call, let's try it. So we booked the consultation appointment, and I signed up that night.
So many things that I appreciate. 1, sharing that story, Kurt. 2, being a better dude. Like, thank you for supporting Courtney, because I know as dudes, we've heard stories across the spectrum. So thank you for being one of the better ones and supporting your partner. And your story about getting it from Spencer of like, yeah, I would like to go to the bathroom without help when I'm 80 plus. I think that's the long-term goal. This is me on my soapbox, but we all start our fitness journeys being like, I want to look good for that event, or I want to be able to hop into the lake or the pool or the ocean and like not worry about it. But what we're actually going after is to avoid the maladies that have plagued previous generations, avoid needing major assistance when we get older. It's kind of one of my favorite quotes. I actually have it tattooed on me, which is sweat more during peace, bleed less during war. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're putting in the work now. We're eating well, we're working out, we're getting good movement, sleep, etc., to hopefully avoid the, insane hospital bills and the medications that we might have to take when we're older. Kicking it over to the Big Daddy, Real Daddy, because the reels are making a huge impact. Spencer, what would you say that Kurt started with that was really challenging for him that he now does really, really well?
Oh man, it's such a good question. Number one, because I really feel like Kurt has done such a good job with so many different things. He came in with which was one of the hardest things to do. He came in very coachable. Like he was ready to listen, no matter what I said. Like if I was like, hey man, I'm just going to have you do jumping jacks for the next 10 weeks. Like he was ready to do it. And as a coach, you love to see that, because right then and there, you're like, all right, we're going to make some things happen. I will say, and we just spoke about this, I think, in our most recent check-in, was getting the confidence to like deadlift, to, do hinge movements, because he had hurt his back. And I was like, well, we're not going to stay there. And we're certainly not going to be able to wipe our ass when we're 80 if we can't, pick up some weight. So over time, we've gone and moved quite a bit of weight, and we've actually built even more confidence with the bar, and no longer having to have it like elevated. We can pick it straight up off the ground without any pain. We're actually like, our back is feeling stronger. And for me, those are one of those really big wins to see, because it's not only a mindset piece too of like, hey, I might be broken. Like, I don't know if I can get better, but it's also a physical thing too, because it does remind you sometimes like, hey, I still kind of hurt. Right. So to be able to get over that and get through that, and from what it sounds like at this point, almost come out on top, it's, as a coach, it's always awesome to see. And it goes a step further too, when, they notice it for themselves. Right. And they're like, hey, I feel pretty good. Like, it's pretty nice. Like I can deadlift more than I've been able to deadlift. And those types of things are just, yeah, I mean, I could go all day about gushing about Kurt. So I'll dial back a little bit.
Oh, you can dial it up always, Spencer. You know that. But
no, that's, please let it keep coming.
Yeah, like I said, it's just going to be a love fest. But Kurt, I really appreciate again you being so coachable, because like Spencer said, and Gianna knows this as well, there can be some hesitancy, right, when somebody first starts with a coach in DLDNation. So it's really cool when people are like, hey, you just tell me what to do, and like I'm going to try to execute to the best of my ability. And the payoff is so great, not only to be able to lift in the gym, lift heavy, pull it off the floor, but also in our everyday lives. I have to imagine, Kurt, if you were to go back in time with what you know now, you might have been able to avoid that injury in at work, because you're now, if I pick up anything in my house, I'm pulling my shoulders back, I'm engaging my lats, and I'm pulling from there, even if it's, a 5-pound bag of groceries. And those are the things we learn when we are training, working with a coach, and then learning how to lift safely and healthy, because this is, again, something that we're not taught when we're growing up. I know one of the big things that I was excited to talk about was a couple that's actually working together to see success on their fitness journeys. Kurt brought up the proverbial pizza, because that never ends. I'm just going to say this right now. I know Gianna, Spencer know this very, very well. This happened yesterday. Dayla asked me around like 4 or 5 o'clock, and she was like, hey, do you want to get a pizza? And I was like, diet starts Monday. Like, I'm going to have food here. And she was like, oh yeah, you're right. So I'm curious with you guys, how do you still have those moments where it's like, oh man, I want to order the pizza? And if you do, how do you both sort of rein yourselves in with that?
I mean, I don't really remember the last time we've really had like those moments of like.
Normally it's we're both standing in the kitchen, kind of looking at the fridge, and we're like,
it's 6:30.
6:30, and it's like, pizza sounds really good. Like, how are you sitting on your macros?
Yes.
And I'm like, I could fit a couple pieces of pizza in. All right, let's do it. And that's usually how it goes. And and that's what I've loved about this journey is we've always been taught that there's good food and there's bad food. And unfortunately, for a little bit there, we were teaching that to our 2 little boys. And now we've been trying to change their mindset that food's food.
Yeah.
And you know, some food will make it so you're not hungry in 10 minutes. And our 5-year-old struggles with that, because when he wants a snack, when he's hungry, he wants fruit snacks. And that's not enough. So he's got to learn the hard way. But no, it's just not having to get rid of those foods that you love. It's just, maybe it's a little more portion control than anything. You know, maybe 2 slices of pizza instead of half the box.
And I think like we try and really like communicate it too. So it's like, if it is like late when we're both just kind of like, like we don't want to cook, we just want to order pizza, kind of like the impulse shopping part of it, I'll say. A lot of times if we're both not sitting in a place where we have the macros for it, or it's kind of coming out of a place of like emotion, a lot of times it's kind of like, well, do we really want this pizza? Like, yeah, it sounds good, but we're going to have to drive into town and go get it. Hopefully it tastes amazing when we get it. Are the boys going to be able to wait until 7 o'clock to eat dinner? Like, so where before we would just be like, screw it, we're going to go in. I think now we're just really wanting to see each other succeed. So having that like open line of communication where it's like, you know, I personally don't really want to eat it tonight because I don't have the macros for it. So let's plan it for tomorrow. And then we can kind of plan our day around it. But like Kurt said, we have not hit a situation yet working with DLD where we have to eliminate anything. So I feel like before, when we were constantly like, oh my God, we just want to get pizza, it was because we were so deprived of it. We just wanted pizza. Like, we didn't care what time it was, what it cost, where we got it from. We just wanted pizza. And now that we're not depriving ourselves from it when we do want it, it's not happening so out of control.
Yeah, so we don't need it. We don't need to have it tonight. Like we said, we can try and make it fit tomorrow, or you know, in a couple of days we'll have it,
because we know we can have it. Where before, as silly as this sounds, like before everything, I'm poor guy, like everything was structured around like my weigh-in days for like Weight Watchers, or when I was counting calories. So it's like he knew he wasn't going to get pizza until Saturday night, like after I had weighed in Saturday morning. So it's like, it might be Wednesday and he's like, oh my word, I want pizza. And then I'm like, pizza. And as soon as he could like put that in my brain, we were going to get pizza. Where now it's like, if it's in our macros, cool, we're going to order pizza. If it doesn't, we'll make it work later on, maybe tomorrow. So just not being deprived from anything has really eliminated our
binging.
Yeah, just eating because we feel like we don't know when we're going to get it again, kind of thing.
What I'm hearing from all of that is sustainability and something that we can do long term. And that's what the 3 of us on here and all of our DLDNation coaches, like Dayla and I joke all the time, we would love to have clients until we're 80, right? And the same client. But the goal is to create autonomous individuals who know if they go on a 3-day weekend and they have some fun, they come home and they're like, oh, I gained a couple pounds, but I'm 1, not worrying about that, because 2, I know that if I hop on my macros and get back on my workouts, like it's going to be gone super quick. Also, I love the aspect of training your boys, because we are observational learners at the end of the day. And so you're not only helping yourselves, but you're helping your kids as well. I have a client, Eric, who's just had his 2nd son, and his like 2-year-old, he told a great story in his check-in where his 2-year-old went to the fridge and got out basically like what Eric uses to make protein shakes. And Eric went in and was like, oh, cool. Yeah, man, we'll get you this. And he apparently took the shaker bottle and slammed it down. And he was like, no, shake. And Eric was like, that was a super cool moment, because he got to make like this small protein shake for his 2-year-old and like start that habit and that routine. And so I really love that your kids are doing that as well. Gianna, I'm curious, with this journey with you and Courtney together, what are some things that really stand out for you, or some moments that were these huge wins that you think would really help people who are listening, considering going on a similar journey?
Try not to cry.
I'm gonna cry. I was just like listening to her talk, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh no, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna cry. And I was like, pull the eyelids up, don't cry. I'll look crazy on video, but that's okay. You know,
we can totally edit out the crying too, by the way.
It's gotta stay. It's gotta stay.
Just cries for like 10 minutes. We'll just be like, hey, we got this.
We'll all cry together.
There's like a bloopers episode just of the crying, because I know Spencer will start crying right after. So it can just be like a 10-minute little episode of just crying in case anybody needs to feel better. They can just listen to us cry. But I think for me as a coach, and why I get so emotional, like hearing Courtney talk, and just obviously I haven't gotten to like coach with Kurt because he's with Spencer, but like literally Spencer and I'll message Spencer and be like, how's he doing? Like Courtney is crushing it. Like she talked about how they got to go do something with their kids that they haven't done in a while. And I'm like, I'm just so proud of her. Like genuinely, she was hesitant at first, but she trusted me. She trusted what I was saying to her, and she went all in. And I get, and I think Spencer probably does this too, I won't speak for him, but I get very attached to my clients. And there are clients that like, when I think about them leaving eventually, I'm like, a little piece of my heart's like running away. Like I will be so sad to lose her one day. But like, even just hearing her talk right now about how they're really picking up sustainable habits, they're teaching their kids, she is literally just like living her best freaking life. And something we were just talking about in our check-in this week is her boys are both in school now. And she's she's not like my parents. My parents love me, but by like August, they were like, school's back in session. Good. Get out and go back to school. She's like bummed that they're in school, which is so cute. But I was also like, Courtney, like, this is your time. Like, this is your time to figure out like, Courtney is a person, like you're a great mom and that's a big part of what you do, but now you have a few extra hours a day to be like, what do I want to do? And so that's kind of what we're going to kind of focus on in these next couple of weeks. But she just genuinely, I could not ask for a more coachable, more kind, like loving client. And just genuinely, like I could list off 1,000 things that I love about her, but the biggest one is her willingness to just trust. And I know that that's really hard for a lot of people after they come from backgrounds where they have trusted doctors or other providers or other coaches that it like didn't go well for them. I know that that can be really hard, but it's just been such like probably like one of the honors of my career so far to get to coach her, because she is everything that I would say, like, if I could create a model client, like it'd be Courtney. I'd put her like in a little like Barbie box and be like Courtney, because she's so on it. And I think it's so cool to have the spousal support there as well. And I know like when Spencer and I message, he's been like, yeah, he's crushing it. I'm like, oh my God, she's crushing it. Like they are like just amazing together and as individuals, of course, but it's just been so cool. Like I literally will cry, like just thinking about it, because I'm like, I am just so proud. Like my heart could explode. I'm just so proud of how far she's come and how much she's learned, and not only just like actually absorbed it, because anybody can absorb information, but she implements it. And her self-awareness too, I will say, is just top notch. She was like, can I have a get out of jail free card just the other day? And I was like, what jail is around here? I don't have a jail for sure. I was like, we don't have jails around here. So, you know, her like self-awareness is really great. And, you know, there have been times where the perceptions and opinions of people around her has definitely like stirred her up a little bit. And I'm like, other people are not you. You get to decide how you feel. You get to decide what your life is like, what your boundaries are, and you get to set them. And I think she's done a really good job of implementing that as well. And so, like I said, I could say 1,000 nice things about her, because I genuinely just love her so much. And she's just been like an A+ times 1,000 like client.
I can share in the gratitude. You guys have been super duper supportive. And when we've been able to connect, either preparing for the podcast or on Instagram, you guys truly are basically the reflection of like what Dayla and I were going for when starting DLDNation. And to have you guys be able to say how this has changed your lives, like that's the reason why we got into this. So thank you, both of y'all. I do want to touch on, Gianna mentioned dealing with friends and family and people who are you guys familiar with the Man in the Arena speech, the Teddy Roosevelt speech? So what's funny is LeBron writes it on his sneakers. He writes Man in the Arena before every game, but it was a great speech by Teddy Roosevelt. I'm going to butcher it, but by paraphrasing, but basically the gist of it is Teddy Roosevelt said, if you are in the arena with me, if you are doing the thing that I'm doing, please, I will accept your feedback. I will accept your criticism. I want to know. if you are in the stands watching the people in the arena, I do not care. Your comment does not count because you are not in this with me. And so I find that fascinating because you guys are doing it together. And so it's a little bit more of a united front. But how did you both deal with the negative comments? I mean, obviously, and this isn't a plug, but it's a chapter in Hack Your Health for a reason. How did you guys navigate that territory?
I'm speaking for me, but I think I kind of got it a little bit more than Kurt because I've always been on some sort of like weight loss thing. And like, I was very open with everyone that I was getting bariatric surgery. So people are really thrown off at the fact that like right now my goal isn't weight loss and like, oh my gosh, you're eating a lot. Aren't you afraid you're going to gain your weight back? I know so-and-so and she couldn't eat that much, or she did eat that much and then she gained all of her weight back. Like there's a lot of comments there because I've always, I think I've always just allowed it. I've always let people kind of tell me what they think I should be doing, or just kind of open myself up to like thinking and that you have to share what you're doing in hopes that people support you. And I've kind of found that for me, it's just better just to do my own thing, just stay in my own lane. I'm open with people when they ask, but I no longer like, that's not the topic of the conversation that I want. That's not the only thing about me that's interesting. And that used to be what I would like really just start any topic off was, oh, I'm doing this, or, oh, I can't eat that because it's this, or whatever the case may be. But now I've just found that like everybody's going to have an opinion, everybody, whether it's an opinion that is helpful or a lot of times could potentially be hurtful. I just kind of nod and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool, thanks. Like, I appreciate that. Or I try to turn the conversation to like, to let them talk about them instead, because I know what I'm doing now. Like I'm confident in what I'm learning from DLD and what I've learned so far and what I'm going to continue to learn, that no disrespect, but I don't need anybody else's opinion. Like I know that what I'm doing is working for me and is going to continue to work for me. And honestly, the only people that I'm concerned about is Kurt and our two boys. So as long as they don't get that misinformation from Kurt and I'm winning. So I think at first it was hard for me because there was a lot of times I would be in my check-ins with G and I was like, okay, like I'm getting a lot of like the 20 questions rapid fire of like, well, you had surgery. Why aren't you trying to lose weight? Why can you have, or how come you haven't lost any more? Like, and she was like, whoa. Like, that's not anybody's business. Like, you don't need to talk about that. Pump the brakes. Like, and I think she's just taught me to like get my power back and trust what she's teaching me and trust the resources we have from DLD to educate ourselves. It's not our job to educate everybody else. It's our job to, educate ourselves and just stay in our own lane.
I appreciate that. What about you, Kurt? Did you take some certain like fun comments from people and how did you deal with those?
I honestly really haven't received much of that just because being with Courtney for so long and through all these different journeys that she's gone through over the years. There's been many nights where we've sat and had conversations where we've gotten together with a group of people and either this comment was made or maybe a comment wasn't made that she was hoping for. And I've just kind of taken that and I've just learned like she said, just to stay in my own lane. If somebody is noticing a change in me, then I might, I'll have a conversation with them. But I'm not one that really posts on social media. Like I'm not blasting it all out there, like what my business is. So I don't really broadcast what I'm doing, but unless like I said, if somebody comes to me and asks, hey, you're looking really good lately. Like, what have you been doing? Then I kind of start to fill them in. Just because I have since starting this, when some people do start talking about like going to the gym or going on a diet, I've just kind of started to sit back and just listen to what they have to say. And I've just always kind of gone with the mindset, like, is DLDNation the only way and the right way? Not for everybody. I mean, there's people who can, do some of the other programs and see a lot of success, and they can sustain it for years. But for me, this is the path that I've chosen to take, and it's working for me. And I've been doing it for a little over 3 months now, and I feel great.
And he looks great, and he's like such a better husband and such a better dad, and like he just has this different glow about him. Like, it's really, really cool. So I think like for us, we've just really learned to like just celebrate together and stay in our own lane, and just know that a lot of times people aren't giving their opinions to be unhelpful, but sometimes it's like you just get information overload, and then you're like second guessing yourself. Am I doing what's right? But we're doing what's right. So,
and I've noticed sometimes when you do get the negative opinions, it almost seems like it's an uneducated opinion.
Yes.
it's someone that thinks that they know, like, well, it should be this way, but truly, if they were to take a little bit of time and do some research, it that's not truly the case.
I think Kurt's giving us the definition of wisdom, and he's found it to just stay silent when people are, talking crap, and to say the proverbial, this worked for me, and I'm happy to talk about it, but it's not the only way to do it. So I really appreciate you touching on that, Kurt. You did mention that you're 3 months in. So Spencer, what does the roadmap look like for Kurt going forward? What are you excited to work with him on?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, it's I think just about 3 months. It'll be 3 months on Friday officially, because June 2nd was our first official text with each other, I should say. But yeah, I mean, we're still rocking through our cut right now. We're still making some awesome progress. We're getting stronger too during this, which is phenomenal. So we're really going to be coasting with that right now. And I think the coolest thing for us to continue to work on is, essentially putting ourselves in a position, as I like to say now, not so much of the toilet humor we used before, but like being able to like run around with your kids. Not too long ago, I know you're not super active on Instagram, but you did end up posting both your sons scored touchdowns, like in back-to-back plays. Yeah. And like, for me, I think I might've been just as excited. Like when I saw that, like I was getting emotional. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And so much of it is because I see a dad wanting to be healthier, wanting to, take care of himself so he can be around to watch all that stuff. And like Gianna had kind of touched on it, like having a almost like deeper relationship with specific clients because of how they participate, not just in the coaching experience, but how they're also participating in like their family and the rest of their life. And, with Kurt, it's only been 3 months, but I feel like it's been quite a long time. I know before we hopped on, you had mentioned like or maybe it was even when we did start, that we've been best friends and we just didn't know it yet. But I do truly feel that way, in the sense that like working with Kurt, from day one, the organization, the consistency with check-ins have been there. He sees an obstacle, he overcomes it. So really now, let's flash forward maybe another 3 months. It's going to be just optimizing those things that he's already doing, because the path he's on, we don't really have to change course or change direction. We just keep doing what we're doing, and we know that we're going to get to that proverbial destination, if you will. But this journey that we're on right now is what's been probably the most fun about it, is because you're seeing changes, not just in the physical part, which is, yes, I think why we originally all sign up, right? You guys saw transformations that I did. You saw those cool physical things, but the mental aspect of it, the emotional aspect of it, the family side of it, those types of things, continue to see that grow, continuing to see and like potentially hear stories about your kids doing little nuanced things that you're doing, like for health purposes, like, oh, mom, dad, I want to make sure I drink plenty of water today, or I want to make sure I get, 8 hours of sleep, whatever it might be. Being able to hear those types of stories and see those types of things over the next few months, like that's what I think I'm most looking forward to. Because I know, once again, you sticking to the course and sticking to what we're doing, you're going to continue to see all those changes that you want to see, right? The byproduct of all the protocols that you continuously hit is typically the physique that you want. Right? Like that's what I try to tell people: hit these certain things, get your lifts in, get your water in, pay attention to your food intake, get plenty of sleep, move your body, like get some walks, get some sunlight, say some nice things every once in a while. And the byproduct of that is a body that you are proud and happy and confident to be in. And I can say this, I think for Gianna here, we can both know that with both of you continuing the path that you're on, that's where you're going to end up. No matter how long it may take, we know that's where you're going to end up. And it's really cool to be a part of that. And I know when Kurt, you had originally signed up, I don't know if I reached out to Gianna saying like, hey, we got like a couple, like I'm really excited, or she reached out to me. But I just remember Gianna's response to finding out that I was working with Kurt. She was elated. She was just so happy. She was like, oh my God, Courtney is the best client, 12 out of 10. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is going to make her even better because now Kurt's on her team. Like, and from that point on, like, that's what I saw too, is like that teamwork was so locked in. And that's really what makes, I think, you guys so special as clients, is because you did make it a team. I know that's what makes me and Maddie and Spencer, right? Sean and Dayla, Aaron and Gianna, right? Like it's that person you decided to team up with, right? Is truly helping you in this situation. Because I know I can speak for myself when I say this, but like there's days where I'm down, right? And Maddie's up, and she can kind of like help bring me to that neutral place. When I'm like, oh dude, I just want pizza, she's like, is that really gonna make you feel better tomorrow? And I'm like, no, you're right. Yeah, okay. Let's do something not as tempting, if you will. So like having that communication, having that teamwork is really the best part in seeing you guys be able to do that together is I mean, I know it's a long-winded answer here really, but it's definitely what I'm most excited to see, is just continuing to see that growth happen, because I know the results that you guys want are going to happen. I think all the things that happen next to that is what's going to be the most fun.
Mm-hmm. Also, just knowing it's for Kurt been 3 months, and Courtney was shouting you out, Kurt, about all the things that she's seen, like all the positives from just 3 months. And I know when a lot of clients get into this, they're expecting results, in a couple weeks. But at the end of the day, 3 months really isn't that long for a time span. And I would love to have you guys back actually in, months, because a few things come up. One, that destination that Spencer was talking about, that's not really where we get most excited. I've had so many clients, as I know Gianna and Spencer have as well, and they're like, yeah, so my goal was over here, but I think I've already reached it if it's a weight loss goal. And it's like, yeah, I've hit this number, but like I'm cool taking my shirt off, like I can do everything around the house, like I've already sort of reached that, and I thought it was going to be a lot longer. We also see with so many clients, they see a ton of success on their fitness journey, and then all of a sudden they poke their heads up and they're like, okay, I've kind of gotten these, Spencer kind of hit on it, like there's a challenge or an obstacle, and like, okay, let me problem solve. How do I get around it? And I know Gianna and Spencer have both seen clients all of a sudden hit and reach their physique goals, and then they're like, should I change jobs? Like where else can I see benefit? Or like, oh, I want to start the side hustle. And now that I've sort of mastered or conquered this one area of life, I'm going to be able to do this in other aspects as well. And so maybe we have another party podcast in the future where we come back and sort of check in on not only the fitness side of things, but like how y'all's life has improved. There was a question that I sort of came to me as Spencer was talking, and you guys are a great team. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot with a question that you maybe weren't expecting, but what's really helped you guys as a couple to see success in your fitness, success in your relationship, success as parents? Do you guys have certain strategies that you kind of go to help continue that teamwork makes the dream work mentality?
I think for us, we have always kept that line of communication open, whether it be fitness related, parenting, and any issues in our marriage. But the biggest one I think we always went back to is like, do we want to grow together or do we want to grow apart? So like, what is our goal? And if it's growing together, what can we do that is going to get us there? Like, we don't want to grow apart. So how are we going to take steps to grow together? And so even like with Kurt and his journey, he's on like the fat loss part of it. He's in the cut. I'm in the maintenance. We're in two different journeys, but we're growing together in the sense of like, we both want to see each other succeed. We both want, to pump each other up when we hit a new PR. We both want to check in with each other. Did you hit your water goal? We both want to like really check in with our mental health and like really just being on that same page of like, even though Kurt is in a different direction than I am in the sense of like physique goals, we have always wanted to like grow together. How are we going to be better together? How are we going to tackle this together? And I think even like as parents, I'll say like, we always back each other. So even if it's something that Kurt might handle and I'm like, oh, I would not have handled it like that, we don't do that in front of our kids. We step aside, we talk about it, we fix it, and then we go to our kids and we fix it too, because we're humans. And how are they going to learn if they make a mistake, how to fix it if they're not seeing it from us? So I think the biggest one always is like, we always ask each other, like, what we're doing independently and together, is that helping us grow together, or is that helping us grow apart?
And I think it helps too, because we both have the same why. Like, why did we start this journey? And it was to be better parents, better role models for our kids. Mm-hmm. And that for us, that those two are the most important things in our life. And we want to set them up for success as they get older. We always wanted, like, our kids, like both of us, like, I mean, it's just been like misinformation. Like, I have the world's greatest parents, and they have always supported both Kurt and I in anything that we've ever wanted to do. But even growing up, like, I did struggle with my weight. And the first thing my mom did was take me to the doctor. And it was the instant, like, oh, she needs to cut this. She needs to go low cal. She needs to do, X, Y, Z. Cause I was always higher in weight when I would go to the doctor, and I used to hate it. And I was never looked at from any medical professional other than my weight, even though I had no health issues at all, but my weight. So it was like, our biggest thing with our kids is like, we need to teach them how to be healthy in the sense of like, food is food. This is what these foods do for you. Exercise is so good for you. Lifting weights gives you strong muscles. Like, our kids always say, Mom, our oldest one, Ryan, he's 7. He's like, Mom, my pee is almost clear. I'm so hydrated. Like, they're so excited about these things, or like, they know that drinking water and going to bed at a good time is going to make them feel good in the morning. And, or just like, Ryan's kind of fighting.
Ryan's fighting us with school, but like, or they ask us about different foods, where before it was like, I wish I could go back in time and like, not tell them like, oh, mommy can't have that because that's not a good choice, or like, you need to make a healthy choice first. But we've really tried to like turn that around and just have them learn, like, okay, how does that feel in your body? Like, are you feeling full and satisfied? Or like, this is a protein and this is going to give you big, strong muscles. Like, just, I don't know. Like, I think we've always just really, really, at the end of this, I know for me, I came into this like, got to lose weight. Weight loss is going to make me happy. And holy crap, my whole world has been turned upside down, because I'm at maintenance. I've not lost any weight, but I am so happy inside and out. Like, I'm confident. I am like excelling as a mom. I feel like I'm still a pretty good wife. Oh yeah. Hopefully. But like, I don't know. I think
you're just all around happy.
Yeah. And
it's
a cool
just
feeling.
Glowing, and it's, aww. I don't think we've been closer than we have since starting this. So
I think like just any couple that is going through this together, like, you have to understand, like, your journey is going to be your journey. Your significant other's journey is going to be their journey, but you can still have that journey together. And just realize though, at the end of the day, like, you've got to be your best self to give to that other person. So I don't know, just keeping that line of communication open, and always, coming back to like what your why is, and paths change, like things change, and then you just adjust and you go from there.
I'm really glad this is recorded, so Gianna Spencer and I can refer to it when we have kids for how to set a great example and be good parents. So
absolutely.
Thank you for that. I also typically
this journey, you guys are all going to be great.
Oh
parents.
My gosh, the best.
That's kind of you. We have good role models.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We also, it's good teamwork between all of us, because I'm sure at some point in the future I'll get a text from Spencer and he's like, what do I do? With a kid, or I text Gianna and I'm like, I need help, like Dayla's out of town, so the team keeps expanding. I also typically ask at the end of these podcasts, like what you both would say to people who might be on the fence about joining DLDNation, but I feel like you've already answered that. I do want to give, let's start with Gianna, Spencer, and then I'll finish up with Courtney, Kurt, you guys. Just any sort of last comments, and I'll start with you, Gianna, on Courtney, her journey, what other people could learn, any sort of like last words there?
Yeah, I think
outside of wiping tears from your face.
Like several times I'm over here like, oh, I'm going down, but it's okay, you guys. I held it together pretty well. I don't have to call my esthetician and be like, I need a lash appointment stat, because I just cried them all out. We're good. They're still attached. But I think for anyone listening that's like, wow, like Courtney has seen so much success. She's grown. And also just to shout her out too, because she kind of touched on this in her last answer, but she didn't shout herself out. She hasn't lost any weight, but her photos look fantastic. It looks like she's lost a significant amount of weight. Yeah, because she has implemented healthy habits. She's sleeping, she's hydrated, she's moving, and she's fueling her body. Her body let go of a lot of inflammation it was holding on to, and she looks fantastic. And you don't have to see the scale change to look and feel great. But I think if anybody's listening is like, how can I do this? How can I be like Courtney? She's like, again, I want to box her up and be like, gold standard, like, look at Courtney. It would be to genuinely go all in. Go all in. Trust your coach with DLD. Trust that they have your best interest at heart. I don't throw reverse diets at people just for fun. I know Spencer doesn't. I know like Sean's never been like, it seems like a good day to throw a reverse diet at this client. Like, we only do it if we have to help your health, but trust them that we're here to help you. And I think at the end of the day, if you're like, wow, it seems like Gianna and Spencer are very attached to Courtney and Kurt. We're very attached, but we're very attached because they've also been in this process with us and genuinely let us in. I know about their kids. I hear them in the back of the voice memos and Courtney's like, sorry. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll hear them. Like, what are they doing today? Like, we're okay with that. They've really invested into the process with us as coaches. They've invested into the community with DLD. And that's not meaning like they're on all the group calls. I mean, they might be. I'm not on all the group calls, so I don't know, but they're not in the group chats like 24/7. They just genuinely care about themselves, about their family, about this process. And it's created this really unique, like Spencer mentioned earlier, like there are some of those deeper relationships that do develop in our work with clients. And Courtney's definitely one of those clients that I have that with, where if I don't hear from her, I'm like, oh my God, is she okay? So it's one of those things that it's what you make of it as a client. But I know like for myself, and I'm guessing Spencer, he can tell me if I'm wrong, I am happy to have that really deep relationship with my clients. Like, I think they get so much more out of it if they're willing to like open up and let me in. I'm happy to like bust open the door and be like, I'm home, but I won't do that if clients don't want that. But if they do, just genuinely, in my professional opinion, I think they get so much more out of this process and they're really more invested in it when they do. So that's where I would leave it. But Courtney, gold standard. I love her. As Spencer quoted me pretty much directly earlier, like 12 out of 10 with like 100 OMGs. That's, I'm pretty sure, like the exact message.
multiple scrolls on the OMG. Also, wouldn't it be hilarious if we had like, it's reverse dieting Thursdays, like everybody gets a reverse diet. We're just going to do this all willy-nilly. Spencer, want to turn to you for a sec. Sort of same question, like last words.
I mean, I think Gianna said it really well with how she portrayed Courtney. I think Kurt really does fit that mold as well too. And really it boils down to you guys are willing to participate, willing to trust the process. And you didn't just invest the money, you invested your time and your effort, which I really think is a big piece that gets missed sometimes. It's like, hey, I paid this money. Why is things not happening? Right. But when you look down into it, you know, it takes time, you know, it takes effort, and you've invested that piece, which I think is far more valuable than anything else, because that effort is going to allow you to continue to be the great role models, continue to be the great parents, you know, the great clients, the great significant others to one another. And that stuff's lifetime, right? That stuff you get to use forever. But I guess the last thing I'd really want to say is anyone who's listening to this, who's, you know, in a relationship and, you know, you want to kind of feel the way, you know, Kurt and Courtney feel, have that conversation. You know, the biggest thing I think I got out of you two is during this is you communicate. You have an open line of communication. There's no bullshit. It's just like, hey, this is what's going on. How can we conquer this together? Because you get to be a team. Like you get to take on obstacles together. You get to bounce ideas off each other. Like that's the best thing in the world. So if you're listening and you have that opportunity and, you want to take that leap, guess what? You get to do it together. And Kurt and Courtney, you do set the standard for what it looks like to be teammates during a journey like this. So I know I appreciate it. I know Sean, Gianna, DLDNation, we all appreciate the work that you show up and do, because as coaches, it does, for lack of a better term, makes our lives a little bit easier. So we thank you for it.
I love it. The party pod is just, it's a love fest, which is very well deserved for everybody here. So Courtney and Kurt, any last words? And then also kind of what would you say to somebody listening who's thinking about whether it's joining DLDNation or not, or just thinking about, okay, this weight loss journey, this reverse journey seems really daunting, kind of a combo. Last words from you guys. And then also, what would you say to that person?
Spencer and Gianna said, just trust the process, dive in both feet, and you won't be sorry. It might seem like a big investment at once, but in the grand scheme of things, it's such a small investment for the rest of your life. It's really investing in yourself for a lifelong journey. The everything that I've been learning is to set me up for sustainability. And I couldn't thank Spencer enough. He's my own personal hype man. I'll send a check-in and say, I didn't do too well this week. And, I still do it. And he comes back like, you knocked it out of the park. And it did. And that just sets you up for the next week. Like, all right, let's do this. So thank you, Spencer. Yeah, he's not like, we were joking. We were kind of going over the questions last night that you sent us over. And, I was like, yeah, he's not like Kevin Hart in The Wedding Ringer. Like, I feel like I truly do have a friend out of this one. So.
Love it. What about you, Courtney?
I think for me, it's going to be, that you're not getting a cookie cutter program with DLD. Like, coming from someone who has tried it all, please, please, please trust that if you're on the fence with joining DLD, that you are actually getting the right information. You're getting resources and you're getting knowledge from people that have the credentials to back it up and the education to back it up, and an entire team. Like, you're not just getting your coach, you're getting an entire team of people that are there for you and want to genuinely see you succeed, even when you don't necessarily feel like they're on your team. Cause like, I felt like that at first with G when we had to do the reverse, but I just genuinely feel like what she is doing for me is changing me from the inside out. And with DLD, if you're thinking about it, trust me when I tell you that if you're willing to just give it your all, if you're willing to communicate with your coach, if you're willing to do your check-ins, if you're willing to reach out when you're struggling, whether it be just to your coach, group chat, one of the coaches on Instagram, you're going to get a response and you're going to get feedback that's going to help you. Like, hands down. Like, this is not genuine response. Yes. And it's not a cookie cutter program. Like, Kurt and I, when we get our check-ins, we are like so hyped for them. And I listen to Kurt's check-in from Spencer. He listens to my check-in from Gianna. Like, we just get like loads of information. And if we ever have questions, we're getting answers that have like scientific evidence backed up for it. So it's like, they're not looking to just, I don't know, just tell us what to do. They're actually teaching us what to do so that we can take this information and we can run with it long-term. Like, I tell Kurt all the time, I'm like, I secretly don't want to learn this because I can't let go of Gianna. Like, I need her forever. I just adore her. But if you're on the fence, trust me when I say, if you're willing to just give it your all and trust the process, you will not be disappointed. You're going to wish you did it sooner.
Ooh, I like that last part. Also, like, I'm getting emotional now. Like, I know what it's like to be in Spencer's group chat. I don't know what it's like to be in Gianna's group chat, but you're totally right, Courtney. It's more than just your coach. You have the other coaches on the team, you have the community, you have the group chats. That's what I would tell clients a lot when they first started with me. I'd say, hey, you not only have me, but you have a group chat. Like, throw a question out there. You probably have somebody like Kurt, who's 3 months ahead of where you are when you just started, and then there's somebody who's 6 months in, 12 months in. And so I really appreciate that you pointed that out, and just sort of all the bells and whistles that we have now at DLDNation. I can't thank you for enough. This has been a ton of fun. So I really appreciate the time. Thank you for dropping so much knowledge. Spencer, Gianna, spending some of your day with us. This is super cool, being on a podcast. And then Courtney and Kurt, getting out of your comfort zone and doing a podcast, having some fun. I really appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. We cannot thank you all, like, from the bottom of our hearts. You're truly just making us the people that we've always wanted to be. And I know I can speak for Kurt on this. Like, we're so happy. Like, we joined this thinking that we were going to get like some awesome physique goal. And we literally have gotten so much more out of this process. We've made friends. Our marriage is booming. Our kids are happy. We're learning an insane amount of things. We're just really happy inside and out. So I can't thank you guys enough. I can't thank you, Sean, for asking us to do this. This was so cool. So thank you so much for that. And Gianna, I love you. I will always love you. And I truly cannot thank you. You have changed my life.
I love you too.
Oh, I'm gonna cry now.
I lasted so long. I was doing so well. And then Spencer's messaging me like, don't cry. Oh, yeah, I'm gone. I'm off the ledge.
Yeah. We may have spoken too soon about the eyelashes. We have to make a phone call.
I'm gonna have to make that. I'm gonna have to send that text. Totally worth it though. I'll cry any day for these two. Like, they're everything that I think a lot of people aspire to be. And I think they're great role models, not only for their kids, but also for other DLD clients.
Hell yeah.
Also, I will say this, because we'll stop recording here in a sec, but I wanted to have this on the recording. So people who've made it this far in the episode, first off, thank you if you're still listening. But secondly, all of us got out of our comfort zone on this one. We had a group chat. I know Courtney and Kurt were like, oh my God, hopping on the first podcast, I think, for both of y'all. And you crushed it. You knocked it out of the park. Super easy, right? Like, we don't need to edit this episode at all. Spencer, Gianna, I appreciate the support, because I've never done a podcast with 5 people and trying to round robin and make sure we all spread it out. So I just wanted to support all of us in getting out of our comfort zone and seeing some growth. And for you listening, encouraging you to get out of your comfort zone and see some growth as well. So thank you guys again. We will still be here after I stop recording here in a sec. And if you're listening, made it this long, I really appreciate you.